What is going on, boys and girls? It's me, Ben DPB, and we're back with another Ben Meets. And this is one that I'm looking forward to, mostly because it's talking to a fellow Welsh football fan, and it's also a guy that's one of my most favourite YouTube channels to watch. It's not a foot manager channel, it's a groundhopping channel. And if you're not aware of what a groundhopping channel is, basically a gentleman or a lady that goes around certain parts of the country, Britain, or even the world in some cases, watching other football teams. Some people focus on Australian football, South American football. This guy predominantly focuses on Welsh football, so he goes around the lower leagues of Welsh football and sometimes some of the big boys. It's the Groundhopper. How are you, buddy?
Hi Ben, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good, man. Thanks for coming on, buddy. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I know we've had it in the pipeline for a while, haven't we?
Exactly. Well, actually, I'm a bit of a fanboy of yours. I've made it abundantly clear. I love your content. Your content is fantastic, mostly because Lee Trundle's in it, and for anyone that is a Swansea fan or a Welsh football fan, they all know that Lee Trundle's an absolute beast, and I just love watching your stuff, man. I really do. And I remember watching your My State Park episode, which was just fantastic. And it's some great stuff. And like I said, watching your stuff, not to suck you off a little bit, but it's great to see someone that isn't just going to the Swanseas, the Cardiffs, or the Wrexhams. You go into your Port Talbots, you go into your, I'm not going to try and say the world's longest name because I can go.
There we go. It's one of those ones where whenever you go travelling, the little knowledge people have on Wales, they just always press you on that. So
you have to learn it.
Got to learn it, mate, especially when you made a video on it. I'm not even lying. When I went up for that video, I was actually practicing in the car because the drive from South Wales to North Wales is absolutely horrendous. So I was actually practicing every half an hour how to say I think I got it at the end. I did kind of have to read the sign as I was walking past it, but
we saw the bit where you walk down it and you have to do it again, don't you, because you think you're going a little bit too fast or something, isn't it? So
no, with that it was hilarious. I said oh, hi guys, I'm here in Llanfair with Drobos, and today we're watching a Welsh Premier League match, and it wasn't a Welsh Premier League match. I was like, I've got the long name correctly, but the actual league I'm going to watch, I can't remember what it is, so I had to start all over again. It's obviously it's a tourist attraction, so people were just watching me vlog in front of a massive sign and then doing it twice. I was like, I feel like such a mug right now, but yeah, got it right second time around.
Are you somewhat of a face then when you go to the football matches, whether it be or when you go to Aberystwyth Town or you go to My State? Do people know who you are when you get there?
I'd say definitely the last few videos I did before I stopped in January. I went to Flint Town, which hasn't come out on the channel yet. And the crowd in Flint Town was about 800 people. And I would swear maybe 50 to 100 people recognised me there. And Flint is in the northeast of Wales, and I'm from obviously the southwest of Wales. So it's not like, it's not like a local thing. It's 250 miles away from home type thing. Maybe not 250 miles. I need to work on my Welsh geography, I think.
The great thing about your videos is not just going there and watching the game. You talk about the area, you walk around the ground, you talk about your journey to the ground, etc. So some of these ground hoppers just I'm at the game, this is the stadium, awesome. Whereas you always tend to go in a little bit more details other than some. What inspired you to start doing your ground hopping videos? It's
a bit mad, really, because a lot of people, they first get involved with things, they might have been doing it as a backlog beforehand, if that makes sense. Whereas literally the first mode I had when I wanted to go ground hopping, apart from the odd occasional games, was the first video I had on the channel, which was Hanwell Town against Thamesmead Town. So basically when I was living in London, Hanwell Town were my closest team, I think. So I was always intrigued to go there. And I really enjoyed that experience because you fall into a routine so easily in life. When I started ground hopping, especially with the stuff I was doing in London, I've seen areas of London I've never seen, using tubes I've never used. As you said, mate, when I do my videos, I like to show a little bit of the background, because what's beneficial about ground hopping as opposed to being a vlogger for a team you support, you're always having a different experience where you're going somewhere. Whereas if you're watching Swansea, if I did vlogs for Swansea, every game would practically be the same. I feel like you'd just be watching the same team every week. When I'm doing, ground hopping wherever I go, it's I think a lot of my success, and I'm aware I'm not a multi-millionaire from YouTube type thing, but I feel like it's relatively successful. As you mentioned, mate, I'm doing lower league Welsh stuff. But I think a lot of the things that people get behind and support it is the fact that it's a genuine reaction. So it's like when I go somewhere, I give my thoughts on what I see for the first time. And that's what I think is really, really good about groundhopping.
It's just mad. Some of the clubs you go to, whether it be the Brentford videos or whether it be the Aberystwyth Town videos, there's such a variety of different videos on there. And as you said, no video is the same, which is great. If you do a Swansea video or if you do a Luton Town video, if you do a Luton Town, and every video actually is the same. And I think that's why the groundhopping videos with yourself or the away days, whoever else go down so well, because it's something different every episode.
I feel like it's a really interesting genre. You got to balance it correctly between broadcasting yourself and also broadcasting the team, because if you're doing a story, I don't know how I would call it, a video about a team you're visiting, like let's use My Stake Park for an example, the vast majority of people from My Stake that'll be watching that video aren't watching it for me specifically. They'll be watching about their team and what's someone's opinion of that club. They also want you to catch the footage and stuff. So it's kind of like you have to find a fair balance between showing off yourself, because it is your YouTube channel. You don't want people to come onto your channel, not press the subscribe button, and they never come back even though they enjoy the content. That's why when I do my videos, you only see my face at the start and the end, and maybe at halftime, because I feel like you need to show who you are. But at the same time, I don't want the main thing just to be about me, because I'll be totally honest, there's a lot of, especially with the younger people, they haven't got like the social ideology, let's say that, regarding people's perception on them. So like if I was just doing like a vlog where I was just filming myself for the 90 minutes, be like, oh, that's a great chance. Oh, I don't think I'll enjoy it whatsoever. It's about finding a fine balance between like broadcasting yourself and broadcasting the club.
Your first video was done over 3 years ago. Now, since then, you've had over 2.5 million views and nearly 10,000 subscribers. Now, for someone who mostly focuses on Welsh football, you must be immensely proud of that.
Spot on, mate. I'm immensely proud. Like the stat you just read off there, it's pretty astonishing, really, when you think about the situation I'm in. I generally do it because I enjoy doing it. So, yeah, it's a very, very proud thing I have. I'm getting really close to breaking 10K now, and I haven't uploaded since January. So it's in a healthy state where I don't need to release videos every week to see that, because a lot of people, when they stop, their subscriber bases just plummet. Whereas I'm quite lucky in the situation I am in, where I'm still gaining those subscribers. So that shows that the content I produce, I'm going to sound like a proper knob now, is timeless. Even if the video is from 2 or 3 years ago, it's still a unique experience for the viewer. So that's why I think the channel's still growing. And like you said, the figures you put out there, it's mental. And it's not like the views I'm getting are from when I go to main big teams or teams in the Football League. I get like over 1,000 views when I go watch like a Maltese third division game, which is just crazy.
I think it's mad that 5,500 people watched you go to My Stake.
Mate, My Stake is an absolute jewel in the crown of Wales.
I agree. I agree 100%. But there's obviously an audience there. I mean, if we look at your top 10 most popular videos, 6 of them are Welsh football. So it just shows there's an audience there for going to watch lower league football, go to watch the national team on occasion as well. When, you know, if you told me 2 years ago that there'd be somebody watching 5,500 people watch My Stake Park in the 6th division of Welsh football, I'd have called you a liar. Do you know what I mean? But it's mad to think there's actually a mass audience out there that support you the way they do. I mean, even your recent video done just over a month ago, which is entirely in Welsh. Over 1,000 people. I watched it. I don't even speak the language, but I watched it. It's a 20-minute long video entirely in Welsh, you know, when you've got over 1,000 people watching that. So it just blows my mind that, you know, for a country that's so small, there are about 3 million people in Wales, and you've still got so many people, 2.5 million people around the world that watch your content. So it's just awesome, man. I mean, I'm hoping at some point in the very near future we'll see you come back, because I'll get to it now. You took a break from YouTube due to the cost, and it is quite expensive, especially if you go to Malta, Poland, Hungary, or even just going up to North Wales. The money's going to cost you with petrol, food, the tickets itself. It's not going to be cheap. You know, Is there any chance we're going to see you make a return once the whole COVID-19 calms down, of course? Are we going to see you make a return at any point to follow Welsh football? Especially, I'm hoping you've got a new job.
So, a return is I could return now technically onto the channel because I've got a lot of videos in the backlog. I'm just the type of person where I've got to be in the mindset, and right now, as you said, I've got a new job. And I'm working 5 days a week. And when I'm stuck in front of a computer all day with that, and I'm even though it doesn't look like it when I make my videos, I would say I'm a bit of a perfectionist when I'm trying to get like a seamless transition. So if there's like a little bit of silence in one at the end of my video, and there's a silence at the start of the next one, I want to like to phase them in so it kind of like is a bit seamless. When I say that, again, if you watch my videos, it doesn't look like it's perfection, but I do try to line stuff up. It's a mixture of things. I've got a Samsung S10. That's why I film my stuff off. And even though it's a mobile phone, my computer can't actually deal with the quality of it. So when I edit a video, like vast majority of the time, it just crashes. It's just like a frustrating process when I edit videos these days. So I've got one video, which is really interesting. My last video I went to, bit of an exclusive on your channel, which will be my next video coming up. I can reveal to you if you want.
Yes, please.
But the last team I went to watch before the COVID-19 outbreak was Dundee United against Partick Thistle. Now, Ben, what's your knowledge like on the Scottish second division?
Not great. Not going to lie to you.
No worries. So basically, Dundee United are top of the league, Partick Thistle were bottom. What's happened with the COVID-19 outbreak is that the SPL or the SPFL, I don't know what you call it, whatever the FA is for Scotland, they've brought the season to an end. And they've basically said wherever you finish is where you finish. So as I mentioned, Partick Thistle against Dundee United, top against bottom. Partick Thistle actually managed to get a draw in that game. As the season ended, they're actually going down. Now, I think they've got a game in hand, and if they win that game in hand, they'll leapfrog the team in ninth and stay up. It's a really interesting video because at the final whistle, as no one was aware that the COVID-19 was going to stop football, the Dundee United fans start booing, who are top, obviously, because they drop points. And then Partick Thistle on the away end start cheering because they've obviously got a draw away at one of the best teams in the league. But in the reality of the situation, that was a game that sealed the championship for Dundee United. And then Partick Thistle actually got relegated because they can manage to get all 3 points. So it's a bit weird going to a game where you're sealed as champions, the home team's booing, and the team who were cheering at the end of the match actually were cheering the fate of relegation. So that's an interesting video coming up. As I said, if I can get good editing software, I'll get that up as soon as possible because, as I said, it's a really interesting story, and Dundee is an interesting place. It's actually the sunniest place in Scotland. I don't know if you knew that, which you wouldn't have thought when you think of Scotland.
I thought Scotland much like Wales. I don't think there was sun in Scotland much like Wales.
Exactly. That's the key word was sunniest. So it's kind of like comparing wherever would be a good funny quote to say right now.
Insert quote here, eh?
Yeah, I'll just think of one in and just edit it out later.
So you said you've been to a couple of games up in Scotland. You know, how you find Scottish football compared to, say, Welsh football in terms of the fans? Because obviously I'm guessing because you go to second tier, the quality's going to be a bit better than the Welsh fifth tier. But in terms of the fan, how you find the fans over there?
The thing is about Scottish football, it's obviously ingrained in the population. So it's like your dad would have supported that team, your dad's dad would, or your grandfather would have supported that team. So it's kind of like a thing that, even though Scotland for me is a bit of a closed book where Celtic and Rangers just win every season. Obviously, Rangers have reformed, Celtic are the dominant team now. Teams like Kilmarnock, Dundee United, Aberdeen, there's like that backlog of support that will always be there and always support it. So the fans are really good. But what I would say the differential between Welsh fans and Scottish fans in terms of watching the National League, when you go watch a Welsh football game, the fans are generally there to support the team, if that makes sense. Whereas I do feel like I went to watch Aberdeen where they went like 3 or 4 games without scoring a goal, and it was such a hostile atmosphere. Honestly, it's something I've never experienced. It was just such a hostile atmosphere, and that's the biggest differential between Welsh and Scottish football. It's like the fan base is there in Scotland, but they're very harsh on your performance. Whereas in Wales, the fan base isn't there, but everyone's there to support you. Does that make sense?
100%, yeah, no, I get you. I mean, in Wales, we're used to disappointment. So for us, we're supporting either way. You know what I mean? That's why we love the Euro so much when we got to the semi-finals, because he wasn't used to it. But 100% know what you mean.
Bit like, we're quite lucky in the way we are now, because even though like the World Cup qualification campaign that happened last round, when in my book we should have qualified because we were the top seeds, but we didn't. I wouldn't say there was like a massive backlash against Chris Coleman. I feel like everyone was still supportive, even though we massively underperformed in my book in that qualification campaign. And like, because we've stuck with the team, the Euro campaign that just went, even though we had a bad start, we still came out like qualified. Whereas I feel like other nations, where it had been such a hostile atmosphere to play in, the players would have just crumbled under that pressure. So, Welsh fans are really good.
What's your thoughts on Chris Coleman?
In terms of managerial like prowess, I feel like he achieved all he could with Wales. When he came in, obviously he had the five at the back with Wales, with Bale in attack. He was used to people attacking us and us being with them on the counter.
It worked though. Ben Davies, who'd have thought Ben Davies at centre back would have worked so well? Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was. It worked really well, that five at the back. I didn't think it would. But having Davies at centre back and Taylor left back, it worked a lot better than I thought it would have done.
Yeah, you're spot on, mate. It's with us, we've never have strength and depth really. If we've got a good 14 where we've got players we can bring off the bench, that's an incredible position for Wales to be in. But I totally agree with you there, mate. It's Ben Davies never really would have stood out as a centre half in traditional situation, obviously with him being a left back in his club game, but it's such a weird thing with Wales. Like we have like 3 or 4 left backs available, and then we have like no right backs. So it's kind of like, do you know what I mean? So you're just mixing and matching.
I love Chris Coleman for what he done for us, and I was disappointed when he left, but I understood why he left. I don't know why he left for Sunderland.
Yeah, that was mad.
I understood that he, much like us, we knew there wasn't much chance of him getting any further than what he did. I wasn't very happy when Ryan Giggs came in at the start. Towards the end, he did a lot better. But some Wales fans, they either love or they hate Ryan Giggs as manager. What's your thought? I'm teetering on not a big fan of his, but what's your thoughts? I mean, he's brought a lot of youth through, which is great. He's put in faith in the youngsters because, let's be honest, it's the first time in many, many years that the Welsh youth team looks fantastic.
I'm in the same boat as you, mate. You can't criticise someone who's qualified for the 3rd major tournament in Wales' history. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I don't think he's the right guy for Wales in the long term. For me, I don't think he's ever put Wales before Man United.
We all know that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like I generally believe if Man United came in for him like a day before the Euro start, he would jump at the chance and put us in disarray. But again, I can't. Like so many people jump down the throat of people who criticise Giggs, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Because
I'm happy to criticise him. You look at Gareth Bale. I think Gareth Bale's come rain or shine. He always puts the Welsh football team first, and that's why us Welsh fans, we love Gareth Bale so much, because we always know that for him, Welsh come number one. But if Ryan Giggs, as we spoke about, that was never the case for him growing up, and someone argue that's due to Sir Alex Ferguson telling him not to go play for Wales, whatever thoughts you may be on that situation. But Wales was never Ryan Giggs' first priority, and I think had it been one of his first priorities back in the day, we might have done a little bit better. I'm not saying we'd have won the World Cup with Ryan Giggs as a player, but I think having a player of his calibre play for us 9 every game rather than only turn up for the ones every now and again, it would have been a big difference for us. So to me, I've always got a little bit of back in my brain. I'm not a fan of the guy purely based on the fact that he wasn't there for us when we needed because he had a pulled hamstring or because he had an ingrowing toenail or whatever else it might be. But that's why I love my man crush, up there with Gareth Bale was Lee Trundle. But Gareth Bale for me is my number one man crush because he's always put the Welsh football team first. You can see when he's there, he looks genuinely happy to be there, playing amongst his friends, as he calls them, whether it be playing with Robson-Kanu. It seems like he enjoys playing Robson-Kanu more than he does playing with Ronaldo when they're at Real Madrid, which sounds insane to say, but you see him. True, after that goal against Belgium, I mean, the guy's a legend. So for me, Ryan Giggs, I'm never going to be maybe I'm biased in that respect, that fact that I don't like him, because in the back of my mind, it's just there, you didn't put us first, so why should I put you first? But I didn't want Ryan Giggs. Ironically, I was old school. I want Pulisic. He's a Welsh lad.
You're literally the same thought process as me.
He's old school. I know some might say it's long ball football, but let's be honest, we're not England. We haven't got the players where we can start playing the ball on the floor like a Holland or a Brazil. We've got to start playing to our strengths, and whether it be Gareth Bale's pace or the Cruyff turn by Robson Cardew, whatever it may be, we've got to play to our strengths. And although Pulis may play that classic Pulis football, I'd love to see Pulis come in as Welsh manager, but what
you're the same as Pulis. I'm in the same thought process as you right now. This is a lot of people listening to this are going to totally disagree with us because we qualified, and that was my main aim of why I wanted Pulis to come in. But if you look at Pulis, all the time he comes into a new team, he gets that instant reaction. Now, international football, you're not a group of players that are playing with each other all the time. So when you're meeting up like once or twice every few months, it's kind of like you want that instant impact. And I feel like Pulis would have been a great choice for that. Again, we've qualified now, so it's like, I'm not saying get rid of Giggs a day before the tournament starts, bringing Tony Pulis, because I think that was a mistake. But for me, the biggest one I always want to see Wales in is in the World Cup. Are we in a position with Giggs in charge where we feel safe that we'll get instantly into the World Cup through the next qualification group, because we're not going to be top seeds and there's only like the top team automatically qualifies, and then obviously you got the playoffs below it. Are we feeling comfortable with Giggs taking us into at least a playoff and then winning that? I don't think so personally, but again, people are going to shoot us down because right now Welsh football's on a high.
It feels bad when I talk about it at work, the amount of crap I get. How could you say that after what he's done? Like, I can't. And again, maybe I'm biased. I'm going to turn it into a Welsh football podcast. I can't help myself.
That's good, mate.
For people who want to start their own ground hopping channel, whatever it may be, well, hopefully it might be the Welsh football, but if you want to start your own ground hopping channel, do you have to go out and buy like an £800 camera, or can you do it all through your mobile phone?
For me, it's all down to preference. It's a really expensive hobby, and people have got to realise that before they start going into it. So for me, I'm trying to keep all the other necessities around it at a minimum. So I'm recording my stuff off my mobile phone. Now, I started the channel before... Sorry, I had my mobile phone before I started the channel, so I didn't prepare beforehand. I just basically went off my mobile. And people have never criticised the quality of the content I've captured. In fact, a lot of people I meet at games are surprised I'm using a mobile phone. So I think that's all you really need. But yeah, I don't think it really matters what type of content you make, especially if you're starting off. I don't think you need like a £250 camera or even higher than that. I feel like you want to start and learn how to present yourself in front of a camera, and a mobile is perfect for that.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see somebody, when they go to his grounds, maybe an idea for yourself, not to try and jump on the bandwagon. Even little things like let us know what the pies are like at the ground. Do you know what I mean? I like seeing stuff like that. What's the pie like? What's the refreshments like? When as you say, if you go into the 14th tier of the English division, try and add like a niche thing to it. I went to go and watch, I don't know, I'm trying to think of it, #United. And the pies were a 4 out of 10. Just try and have a little niche thing to it, because anytime you bring something new to your channel, whether it be reviewing the pies, reviewing the burgers, reviewing the Bovril, people are going to come back for that. If you just do the simple, I'm going to a game, here I am. And as you mentioned, that's why your stuff is so great, because you're not trying to make the video all about you. You're focusing on the club. You're focusing on the football. And that's why your stuff, compared to others where the camera's on them for 90% of the football, yours is the other way. You focus on the ground and focus on the club. And I think if you try and find that niche thing that other people like doing, I think that would go down well. But that's just me as a fan, giving my opinion. What I'd like to see if someone was to do a ground hopping channel.
Yeah, no, that's fair play, mate. I think it's finding your niche as well. So I'm not a big foodie at a football game. I feel like if I was to bring that in, it'd be like out of the norm. So maybe it wouldn't be natural. I think it's like being natural with what you want to do. That type of stuff, the food reviews, if it's something different, I'm totally on top of doing it. But yeah, like you said, it's about finding your niche and bringing something that is unique to every club you go to.
Do you get many clubs approaching you, ask you to come and watch their games at all?
I don't know how to answer that. I get people asking me to go watch their club. But it's like, I don't know, sometimes I get asked to watch a team with like no story behind it. And I know it's really sad me saying this, but My Stake Park is the perfect example to speak about. I think they used to be one of the biggest clubs in Wales, playing in the Welsh Premier League or the equivalent back in the day. And then obviously they found themselves in financial trouble, I believe, or I'm not sure if it's licensing trouble. I'm not an expert on that. But basically they're starting off again now. And they were starting from like the 9th tier in Wales. And they're going back up to the divisions. But they've got the infrastructure in place. Like when I went there, they had the restaurant, the clubhouse. They had a stand, which is kind of unique for a Welsh 7th division team.
100%.
And it's kind of like, there's a bit of a story behind it. Like you said about My Stake, it's like a hidden jewel in the crown of Wales, isn't it? So it's a story that not many people know about, but a really interesting one.
I went there with my boy, and the manager, that's right, the manager of the team introduced himself to me and gave me and my boy, I didn't tell him I was a YouTuber. He just, I haven't seen you before. And he gave me and my boy a tour around the ground, a tour around the clubhouse. He spoke about the football shirts on the wall. He showed me they've got like a murals on the wall that someone spray painted. And he went into details about what they meant and why they were done and when they were done. As somebody that's been to Luton Town, Man United, Benfica as a fan, goes to watch My Stake Park was completely different. I completely changed my opinion on going to lower league football because he was so welcoming into showing me around the club. And, one of the reasons why I went was because of your video. I'd lived in My Stake. I've only been here since July of last year, but after watching your video of the manager and how open the club were, I had to go down there and watch them. I mean, have you had many people say the same thing to you, that they've watched your video and gone to watch that team, or they've gone to watch their local team after watching your videos?
I think it's quite interesting. I feel like people, they go, I don't know how to answer that question properly because every person's different. But I definitely do hear a lot of stories about people going to watch clubs or getting involved or buying shirts from the local clubs just because of the type of exposure I've got from the video. But again, I don't want to be seen as this guy as kind of like a messiah for Welsh football clubs, where if I come, all of a sudden like you get like swaves of followers going to your team from nowhere. But it's always nice to give a bit of a voice. Like I bet My Stake Park, even though my video is not like got 1 million views, I reckon there's probably like, I don't know, 5 to 10 people who've probably gone to My Stake, like yourself included, My Stake Park, should I say, just from the video, because it's something they wouldn't have experienced otherwise, really. So it's a great setup, like up there. And again, we've mentioned My Stake all the time. There's a lot of clubs in the lower ebbs of Welsh football, which is really special. We'll go back to My Stake Park one last time now. What's unique about them is obviously with them being so low down in Welsh football, like there's no entry fee. So it's kind of like you're having a really good footballing experience for free. So it's kind of like it's something special with Welsh football right now in terms of it's all authentic. That's what I really like about it. But one thing I want to mention here is Garu, who are known for this unique stand they have that's built on top of a hill.
Yes.
What's really sad about Welsh football is they're in a sad situation because the Bridgend County Council is raising up the fee for renting pitches. Now, as I said, it's all authentic and people aren't paying people to come in. But with Garu playing Bridgend District, they're going to be charged like £100 for renting the pitch for one game. Now, for a club of that level, you don't have that type of money at all.
Of course.
The cost to travel away games and stuff like that cover it. And all of a sudden, the players who play, you're paying to play at a relatively decent standard, like the 5th division. So it's kind of like, even though I've been promoting Welsh football all the way through this, there's a lot of barriers they have, unfortunately.
Now, you mentioned Gary. Was that the video where the ball went in the river and you had to help the bloke get the ball out of the river, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, that was the video.
That was the episode.
I went to them like the worst time. So I was like, I wanted to go and give them like a massive promotion and stuff. But they played Pen Coed, I believe. And Pen Coed were flying in a division. I think they won like
that
8-0.
Goalkeeper was absolutely immense. I mean, you have to watch the video. There's basically, I think it was that video where the goalkeeper was just fucking insane. He's pulling off these saves. And I was like, how's this guy a non-league goalkeeper? And the saves he was pulling off were amazing. Like, they got smashed score-wise, but you saw some of the saves he pulled off, like top tier saves. It was insane.
Yeah, like it would have been like 15, 16, 17 without him. But
100%.
It's all about the way he looks. I think he was a bit like, I don't like slag him off.
He was a big guy. He was a big guy, shall we say? He had a couple of beers.
Yeah, so like
a couple of pork pies, but he was a very good goalkeeper, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that's probably what stopped him from going higher. He just doesn't look like a goalkeeper, so it's kind of like, stay in the lower ebbs. But as you said, mate, absolute cat and goal.
I hate editing actual videos, but I thoroughly enjoy editing my podcasts. I really enjoy editing my podcasts. I have a lot of fun hearing myself talk. So sitting in this, we talk for that. But all jokes aside, I mean, I love Ben Meets. I get to talk to a different person every week.
I listened to the one you had with United City FM.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah, he was like... he spoke so well. I watched his video about his disability and stuff, and it's kind of like, when I make videos like on my channel, there's no sob story with me. I'm just doing it as a bit of a hobby. But like when United City FM is doing it generally to like with good intentions, and to see him get a relative bit of success, and it like literally lighting up his day from when Loki Doki suggested him. It's such a good news story. And as you said, when on your podcast, he speaks so well. So
100%.
It's just getting that break really with the Football Manager community. I do genuinely believe it's down to ability as well, because Loki Doki's where he's at. I feel like he joined the game pretty late, but his personality and his persistent. I think when he first started on YouTube, he was doing something like 60-hour weeks and stuff, learning about the algorithm and stuff. So he totally deserves that success, but there is an element of luck behind it as well.
Loki, he was a big help for me in my early days. And one of the disappointing things for me is, I've had a lot of YouTubers in the past say they would love to have helped me out back in the day, but I've been incredibly inconsistent in uploading videos. I'll upload 3 videos for 1 week, then I won't upload for a month. When Loki Doki, when I first came, was a big part of me being on my podcast. He helped grow my channel massively, but what's always been a bit of a bugbear for me was, not to be arrogant, I know that I could have been a lot bigger had I maintained what I was going on. So when I first bought my podcast back after 18 months off, it was hard to get people on. But Loki was the first big boy who said, I'll come back on. And because he came back on, I then started getting your Dr. Benji's come on, and others are coming on now, which is great. I'm now getting people messaging me. It's all because Loki Doki, and he does it all the time. He wants to help other people grow.
No, I totally agree with you. Loki Doki's but Loki Doki generally has the right intentions for everyone. Now, I feel like obviously now, because he's going so big, he can't just like help everyone, where his tweets would just literally be like, watch this guy, watch this guy, watch this guy, watch this guy. Do you know what I mean? He does have to pick and choose, but like the fact he still watches and from a background, and that United City FM, like he's obviously dabbing with people when they say, can you check out my content? What do you think? The fact he went to watch United City FM and he's like, this is totally fine. And he's like, right, this guy needs a bit of support. It kind of gives a lot of hope for other YouTubers. Like we go back to what we started talking about at the start with my amount of subscribers and the views and stuff. What I'm most proud about that is that it's all self-made. Like I've not relied on anyone else to create that. Obviously the football teams are very vital, and the people have come on and I've interviewed and they've been happy to do that. That's been a big part of it, because without that there wouldn't be a story to tell. But I'm really happy in the fact that like it's self-made in that sense. With the Football Manager stuff, it's so difficult, because if you pick one club to use all your career, the titles you're gonna have are very, very similar each time you release it.
Now I know you're a fan of the game, Football Manager. Now, are we ever going to see you potentially, because obviously with the lockdown you've got a little bit more time, I'm guessing, are we ever going to see you potentially do a YouTube save with whether it be a Welsh non-league team, a Swansea City, a Swansea City, a Cardiff Met Uni, or a go? Are we ever going to see you do a YouTube save with a Welsh team at all?
So I did do a YouTube save with Carmarthen Town before, and I worked with the club there, and it was really good.
Wow.
I was really happy with what we achieved there. So basically I was working with like the real life players, and I was like, all right, congratulations Luke Bowen, for example, at the time, you're top scorer, here's an award and stuff. That was really fun to do, but I put it on my main channel, and obviously people watching the Groundhopping stuff, there's like a disconnect between that and the Football Manager stuff. And the Football Manager videos I edited, So I'll just give like a bit of backlog for me. What I really enjoy about the groundhopping stuff is I'm going out and about in public and I'm like seeing the world, if that makes sense. I'm not just looking at a screen the entire time. Yeah, I look at my phone when I'm filming, but it's not just that. I do generally take in the football environment as a human being, if that makes sense. Such a weird explanation, but yeah. But when you're doing the Football Manager stuff, and that's why I have so much admiration for people who always upload on a regular schedule, because you're staring at your screen when you're doing a Football Manager save, then you go in it, you're watching yourself back, you already know the story, if that makes sense, and you're editing it, but you're staring at a screen again. And I don't know, for me, it's a very difficult thing because to break out on Football Manager, because usually, obviously, the journeyman save is really kicking off a lot of people, but usually you stay with one team, I feel like anyway, when I speak to people. And like if you're trying to market that, and apart from those teams, like if you did a save with Wrexham or something, apart from Wrexham fans, like how can you guarantee that you're going to get like random strangers having an interest? So you have to have like this massive spin on it. And I generally believe that Football Manager content is one of the hardest ones to market and differentiate yourself from other people. So like
Agreed.
Some YouTubers like Loki Doki, I feel like he wasn't there from the start, and to come from absolutely nowhere and be generally one of the leading lights for Football Manager from hard work. I think he used to do like 60-hour weeks. And learn about the algorithm and stuff. Like you see people like come out from the depths to get a lot of success from hard work. It's really admirable because I genuinely believe when you make content like that, where you just stare in front of a screen all the time and you just like in your own zone all the time and you basically live and breathe it. I have massive admiration for like the Football Manager community and content creators.
You mentioned Loki Doki, so it sounds like you actually do watch FM content. Do you have any particular YouTubers, Twitch streamers or mixers or whatever else it may be that you watch?
So right now I only watch two because to be totally honest, with my job, it's looking at spreadsheets all the time, and I'll be totally honest, Football Manager for me feels a bit like watching spreadsheets a lot. So it's like
it's basically spreadsheet manager, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
So you want someone to like tell an interesting story how it is. So the two main people I watch is Loki Doki. I didn't follow any of his Croatia stuff recently because the workload I had in work picked up. But I followed his journeyman save from, I think he started in Norway, then he went to Russia. Then I think he started off in Finland, then went Russia, then went Norway. And then I think he went Croatia, and I didn't follow that. But then I'm back on now for the Porto part. The way he tells it, especially with me taking a bit of a break from watching him and watching this other YouTuber I'm going to follow up with now, when you come back from not watching him for 2, 3, 4 weeks and then seeing him again as like a one-off, you can see why so many people get behind him, because he tells Football Manager story in such an interesting way. But the person I was going to mention that I have been watching throughout for the last 4, 5, 6 months is a bloke called Aussie Villain. I don't know if you're aware of him, but he's an Australian dude who's living in the UK now, and he's a Australian. He supports Aston Villa, which is why he's called Villain. And he's done a save with Balatown.
Oh wow!
Now the reason why I came across him, because as you said, with the YouTube algorithm, it's like to stand out from the crowd is so difficult. But basically, I found him because I was looking for Football Manager saves around Wales. And I seen him working with Balatown, and I thought it was an interesting story because Bala are a team usually underperform in Europe a little bit, and I wanted to see someone take it forward and get him into the Champions League. But the thing is with Aussie Villain, he puts in so much effort, there's so much storytelling, it's really engaging. When he does like the video editing, he does like cheering for the goals and stuff and sound effects. He puts a lot of effort in, and I genuinely believe he'd be one of the next people if he gets his opportunity to become one of the leading lights on Football Manager. It's just as I mentioned with the Loki Doki stuff, it's like you got to take your break. He's putting in the hours, Aussie Villain. He's a really hard worker, and I genuinely want to see him kick off. I feel like his make or break year would be Football Manager 21. If he finds the right team and the right story, I think he's generally going to be the next person to break out as one of the leaders in the Football Manager community.
Well, I'm looking at his page right now. Ironically, I just found he actually follows me on Twitter, so I'm going to follow him back now after you said that. I'm actually going to check him out. After your recommendation, I'm going to give the Aussie villain a follow. I'm going to watch some of his YouTube videos, let him know what I think of him. He's got nearly 2,500 subscribers, so he's got a Barla Town. He's got a Leeds United save as well by the looks of things. So it looks like he's not a bad lad. I'm going to give him a watch. No pressure on you, mate. So if you shit, I'm going to blame you.
Yeah, the thing is with Aussie villain, there's a player that played against him called Ap Gareth.
Yeah,
he played for Carnarvon Town, and he always scored against him for Carnarvon.
Yeah,
so he signed him, and he was like, "I'm never going to use him." I was like, "Oh, you better use him." But he brought him in, and he was scoring all the time for him on Bala Town. And then all of a sudden he started taking him out because his star rating wasn't high enough, even though he was still performing. So, yeah, I really like Aussie villain, but I think Ap Gareth still needs a start in the first team. That's what I would say about him if he's listening to this.
So do you play Football Manager right now at all? Do you have any saves on the go?
So I haven't downloaded it now because, as I said to you, with the editing stuff, my computer is like such a small memory. But I did download it for the start of coronavirus where you had the 2-week free trial.
Yeah.
And I did a save with Club Cymric. They're a Welsh 6th division team. That's the last one on my YouTube channel. I didn't even Welsh. And basically, they're a team from Cardiff where all the players that play from speak Welsh. So it was a really interesting save because, do you know when you got Athletic Bilbao?
Yeah.
There's like a policy where they can only sign Basque players.
Of course.
If you go on Football Manager now and put in Club Cymric, there's like a policy there, even though they're in the Welsh 6th division. This is why I love Football Manager, by the way. It's like such a niche team, but they've got like the requirement where it says can only sign Welsh speaking players.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, go check it out, man. It's mad. Like when you think about it, like a Welsh 6th division team, they've got that in there. That's how much detail Football Manager is. That's why I think it's one of the greatest games ever. But yeah, I had a little save with them, and it's really interesting because as they can only sign players who speak Welsh, it's like if I was going to do like a club and country save where I'd took one team all the way, that would have been a perfect club for me because there's nothing I hated more when I used to manage Swansea when I used to have the game than when a player came into my youth academy. He had like a 5-star potential, already like a 3-star player in the Premier League. And I'm like, oh, he looks good. And then he's like declared for England. And I'm like, you just broke my heart, boy. Whereas with Club Cymric, you never find that situation because obviously you have to speak Welsh.
So when you get into the good old-fashioned, as I said before, my favourite part of the show, the Spitfire questions that makes or breaks our potential friendship, bromance, romance, whatever you want to call it. So, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke if I had to pick, but rather water, to be fair, mate. I think fizzy drinks are bad for you. Oh,
good lads. You like a bit of water? Do you like flavoured water or just plain water on its own?
I drink a lot of Evian water. This is like the most mundane thing I've ever said. It's like, would you like Coke or Pepsi? Bit of water, mate. What I would say, if I was going to go for a fizzy beverage, I would say kombucha. I don't really know what it is, but it's like we make it at home, and it's like you put this thing called SCOBY in it. It ferments and it makes like a natural fizz, and it's supposed to be good for your indigestion. So I don't know. Some people watching, go look up kombucha.
So what's your favourite takeaway?
I would say probably pizza if I was going to get one.
What's your favourite film?
Favourite film? I'm not going to lie. I'm going to sound like really boring with all these questions, but I don't watch many films. But the film I would watch repeatedly is The Old Italian Job.
I've never seen it.
I think it's an absolute classic.
I've never seen it.
Have you not? I think it's like even though it's like British stiff upper lip, like up against all odds type thing. And like when everything goes too well, you probably know the ending. And if you don't, I'm sorry, I've spoiled it for everyone. But the bus is like off the cliff at the end, and it's like, oh, we'll see what happens next. And like it ends like that, like on a cliffhanger.
What's your favourite TV show?
Favourite TV show? I'm going to say Scorio. So Scorio is a S4C football channel. I'll be totally honest, mate. Moyo Scorio. So Moyo Scorio is kind of like a Soccer AM version, I would say.
Yeah.
Where they basically have like little stories and clippets and stuff like that. And they basically, it's great what they do. There's so much effort they put into Welsh football. Like I seen a video they did recently where Gavin Henson, he's actually playing for like his local Sunday League team, and they filmed him playing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you wouldn't think that, but because it's all in Welsh, people would have missed this type of stuff. But the content they produce is incredible. It's like, I would really like to work with S4C in the future because the way they market their stuff online, I feel like they could do pretty well, but I feel like they can take it an extra mile forward because the amount of work they put in and the content they create, I feel like they're not getting the recognition they deserve.
I'm surprised you haven't. Surprised doing what you do, go around watching Welsh football on a 9-weekly basis. I'm surprised you haven't done some with S4C before, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm fluent in Welsh as well. I think the big reason they don't want to touch me is because my most successful video is like the fighting video between Penabont and Llantwit Major. And it's kind of like...
That's an awesome video, by the way.
Yeah, it's a mad video. Like, I can't believe it's got over 1 million views. I don't think it deserves over 1 million views, but I'll take it just to say I've got a YouTube video with over 1 million views. Yeah, I think like because I put that out and it's like not speaking about Welsh football in a good sense. I think they're kind of wary about that. But if I hadn't had that video in my backlog, I genuinely believe they would have approached me by now. But well, I've got a job now, as I mentioned, so I don't think I could juggle it. But in the future, I would definitely like to put myself forward. It's just, as I mentioned, not much money in Welsh football, so their budgets are really tight, so they've got to balance it pretty well themselves, haven't they?
FIFA or Pro Evo?
I used to be a massive FIFA head. By the way, this is, I know it's called, what is it? Spitfire, right? I haven't answered one question instantly. I've gone like in depth.
They're never Spitfire, mate. Mate, they're never Spitfire. Don't worry about it. They're never ever Spitfire. I call it Spitfire, but they never are, so don't worry about it.
If you can offer me FIFA Pro Evo, I'll say FIFA. But as I said, it's play to play now. So I don't really enjoy the ethos behind it.
So do you play 2D or 3D when you play Football Manager?
I would love to play on 3D, but unfortunately my computer can't deal with it. So it's 2D action. What I would say, and so many people mention this as well, like the surrounding areas of 3D is absolute rubbish. Obviously the classic one with the burger vans and the wall in front of it and all that type of stuff. But speaking from a Welsh football fan's perspective, I've done a lot of saves with lower down Welsh teams. And they literally have like one stand and it literally be fencing all the way around that. But when you play as them on Football Manager, it's like a proper stadium, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like I lose that bit of authenticity from it. Like I don't really enjoy playing with like an Ammanford, and like the stadium is like the equivalent of Accrington Stanley. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. So who do you think is the most underrated content created out there? It doesn't have to be Foot Manager. It could be whether it be another Groundhopping channel. Who do you think is an underrated content creator out there that you currently watch or have been watching previously?
It's a bit weird actually, because I've been watching a lot of smaller YouTubers recently. I don't know why I've swapped from watching big ones to small ones. But Dancer, again, I would say Aussie villain in terms of the Football Manager community and in general. I've already covered him already in the earlier parts. So I don't want to go into too much detail about why I support him and all that type of stuff, because just be repeating myself. But yeah, if one thing can come from this interview and more people will watch Aussie Villain, I'd be very happy, because he definitely deserves the success.
Well, I'll link him down below as you praised him so highly. So no pressure on you again. If you come back here and just crap, it'll be your fault.
I'm waiting for you to ask him to come on the podcast, mate, and then just say, oh yeah, the Groundhopper, what's happening with Ap Gareth? You better make a 10-minute section of that video about Ap Gareth just to put him under pressure.
I may have to do that now. So club versus country. So Swansea win the Champions League or Wales win the World Cup?
Easy one for me. Wales won the World Cup. I think, especially with being a population of 3 million. That'd be massive. To be honest, like the biggest driving thing behind Swansea winning the Premier League would just be the fact that a Welsh team winning an English Premier League, and it would trigger so many English people. That's like my only motivation for seeing Swans win the Prem. But if I had to pick that or the World Cup, I would say World Cup all day long, because people talk about Uruguay from 1930. You ask people on the street about Blackburn 1994, they probably won't know about it. So I think, especially with it being every 4 years, the World Cup is a thing of legend. So Wales winning that one day, thank you very much. Yes, please.
So this could be a make or break question for us, but I won't lie to you. Regen or new gen? What do you call it with Football Manager?
I call them regens.
Good lad.
Started playing, I think Football Manager 08 was my first one. That's what's always been known as. Don't like change. Regens all the way through.
Good lad. I know we hear Miles call them new gens, but to me and to most old school people like us, they're always going to be regens. I know they're not regenerated players, but they are always going to be regens to people like me who are showing their age, shall we say. There we go, boys and girls. Another episode of Ben Meets, and that was a thoroughly enjoyable one for me, mostly because we spent a lot of time talking about the Welsh national team and Welsh football in general. And I could talk about it all day, I really could. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm looking forward to seeing you, hopefully, when you can sort your computer out, uploading some more content at some point in the very near future, whether it be in your new place of work up in Scotland with Aberdeen or wherever else it may be, or uploading your backlog of Welsh football. It'd be good to see you make a much needed comeback. But it's been a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal, Ben. Thanks for bringing me on. I really enjoyed talking to you for the past hour and a half. We'll see how long it's been edited down to.
Don't tell them that, because they're going to have much of you waffling for. But when
it comes out like 15 minutes long, then I'll be like, oh, okay, I wasn't that interesting.
But it's been a long one because, well, I could talk to you and talk about Welsh football all day. So it has been a bit longer than usual, but I'll try and get this edited down the best I can. But anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to bid you all adieu. See you later.